nutrition is the big thing in the human body. You must have, good calories and a good balanced diet to be able to survive. Your ears, unbeknownst to you, are also connected to your stomach. The only way to nutritionify your ear holes is by listening. The FNTASIA, episode 28. You already know what it is. The same three beautiful faces coming right at you on the brink of finals. I mean, Leven, Balla, that is danger zone. That's where nutrition can get interrupted. That's where bad things can happen, great things can happen. You can have some cake and a whole lot of shit as well.
Yeah, you're right. I think every finals gives you plenty of that. I'd want to say is, the way you're smiling when you say that, you clearly are a fan of cake and shit and things of that nature.
In that order.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Are you guys starting the evil cake army or some shit? I don't know why that came back into my mind right then. Just subliminally. What is this? What is this right now?
Listen, I have a banana on my desk, or at least a banana peel, and I needed a
Same, but I'm not gonna show you because it's actually nasty.
Okay. Mine's a little bit more recent. And I was like, I need something to bounce off of. It's either a yellow mug or this banana. So I chose the banana. We'll never know the yellow mug intro. Comment down below if you want the yellow mug intro. I'm not known for, going and pulling through with the comment rewards. The yellow mug intro seems a lot better than the WAP. So we'll see. We'll see what we can do.
Even if you comment, you're not getting it based off of this. Don't even bother.
We'll see. Regardless, every story has its past, and for finals, that's semifinals and reboots. That happened last week. Before we get into it, the present also exists, and that is Arena. That's all what we live and breathe with. That's what we do every day in between games. And honestly, sometimes even finals lobbies just kind of feel like you're playing Arena at certain points in the game. I think we've gone through this topic 17 times before on podcast, but it is like another issue now because I feel like everyone has a little bit more freedom to play a lot of other games. There's more downtime between tournaments than before. There's no daily cups or like as rampant of dream hacks going on like we had months before. But everyone wants Arena to be better. They want it to be like a ranked experience. I don't know how much more there is to talk about this in what way, but once again, just feel like the community's at a standstill. And this is like a common topic, Balla, even for like, the pro players playing at the highest level and have so much, so many other things to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, because straight up, it's really hard to play the game just without a tournament going on or a scrim going on, which is getting even more rare as days go on. It's like literally a dying concept, a scrim in a practice environment. So I'm not surprised that it's a common topic over and over and over. And I think actually that would help with some of the other complaints that come on over and over and over, like everybody complaining about the meta constantly, like every single season, which, will never go away. But I feel like every season there's somebody like, I'm bored. Like, what do I do? And this will change that. The Arena rework would literally solve that idea, right? So what does that mean? In my mind, it just literally means you just have a rank system. There's not much more to it than that. Like, yes, we can describe what my ideal system is and stuff like that. Like, honestly, I would love for like a daily cup system, more than a daily cup system that doesn't necessarily have prizing, but does have like a ranked incentive to it, where if you do well, you get if you go up in the ranks, you get higher elo and whatnot, and that's listed somewhere on a leaderboard. And then also you get like a title if you complete a certain, like full on fucking like chess, like that'd be sick, because we already have that open structure. Like, why not just take it to the complete moon where like chess is, for example, where they have those websites where it's just like literally there's tournaments going on at all times. You can just join up for all skill ranges, for all sorts of different weird LTMs and stuff too. Like, why not? I think that'd be a really cool way to take the game.
Yeah. I feel like, Leven, we've had like talks about this so much before. Like the number one thing I think in the past that we didn't want was like, or like would be a bad way for things to go, is Epic going down the route of, instead of going for a rank system or something in-game incentivized, just keep throwing more money at it to where players now expect the money to keep coming through. I mean, recently in the week we had that NA East test, which kind of seems like, you know, extra practice, an extra type of rank thing, but it has that $3,000 tag attached, right? So is that like a thing that might be a bad pattern overall? His headset, I feel like, is not working. Eleven has no audio for the moment.
I can hear you. I missed a large chunk of what you said, but
Okay.
just repeat like the last 5-7 seconds of what you just said.
TLDR, your thoughts on Arena Rework? Is it an issue that Epic is still throwing money onto like the extra practice stuff that could help with reworking things in terms of, you know, player rank experience or player arena experience? Thoughts?
Are they still throwing money? I feel like they.
3K,
what are they
bro.
throwing money at?
3K
they
USD
threw 3K at a
East test
testing.
event.
Yeah.
Oh, the test. I saw that. Nah, they look like you sort of have both alluded to. Yes, there needs to be a rework. Yes, it needs to be. It doesn't. I don't even want to say rework. It just needs to be arena needs to be scrapped, and you bring in something completely new because arena can never be fixed.
Agreed.
Like it can never be fixed. Arena will never be fixed. You have to get rid of it. But in terms of like them throwing money at the test thing, I don't know if that, because I don't know too much about that. I can't say if does that like coincide. Was that specifically to deal with arena problems? Because I don't know. I don't know if it's as connected or relevant. But yeah.
Well, I think the point is that like they can't get players to play seriously without throwing money at them, right?
Okay, well, in that sense, yeah, that's a big problem that, you know, they created. How do you solve that? I don't know. I feel like I still don't know why they got rid of the whole scrim stuff they did last season. Like that was really cool and it worked for a couple of days, and that to me would have really helped because the excitement around that with people who are playing it was like you're just playing really stacked end games, like, and for no reason other than to play really stacked end games. And so yeah, I guess that is a problem. I don't know though. I do believe that, you know, we can maybe see a chance where like that comes back and, you know, we get these things. But when it comes to like the test things that they do where they throw money at it, I guess it's just, you know, them almost accepting defeat. It's like, yeah, we need the games to be as
or
we need as
it's
many
just
people
simply,
up as possible.
Or it's just simply we need a lot of good data right now, so let's throw money at it so that we 100% get the data that we need, right? Like, that's probably what it is. So you don't necessarily can think it into it. But like, for example, if they brought duo cup or daily cups back like right now, I'm certain that there'd be money involved in it, and I think that's a problem. You know.
I think like a big thing too around it is that their entire topic within Fortnite, which is like completely opposite of what ranked kind of is accessibility and like accessibility of all the ranks. Like it is pretty easy to get to the highest rank in Fortnite, which is champs, right? Like, or like the highest tier in general. I feel like one of the things that counteracts it is like, you know, a way to fix things would be to add prestige, and there was a little bit of it before where like, you know, certain ranks, top and gauntlet, or like, you know, it's very high up ranks overall are kind of tricky to get and limited to just a few select players overall. Making the champion stack that much more accessible at just 6K, I feel like a dope way to get people involved in arena or to play rank in general without like, you know, money attached is have a title that only the top 300, the top 500 can have. Radiant, Challenger, Apex Predator, all the other games do it, and it's enough for content to be, you know, clickbaitable, for there to be prestige around your brand overall. Like it's there to
that's one of the weird
ecosystem.
parts, because like right now, even after a certain point, champs is not even matchmaking with themselves. So like even if you have a higher rank with the top 300, you can't matchmake in Fortnite with 300 people. Like that's impossible unless it was like a set time window for sure, which is what Aura Screams kind of did. But that's almost it feels impossible. I don't know why. Maybe like there's just not enough people playing arena or something like that, but I have to imagine arena is like one of the most played modes, because simply it's just a better mode than the regular pub if you want just to play the game. So why are we still in this case where we have like Division 8 or whatever people queuing up and still playing against contenders people? You know, that is consistently happening on the major regions, which is just weird.
Yeah, and then like the conversation is completely different too in terms of how does this all work for minor regions. Sometimes I don't know what's going on when they're playing, but you know, playlists have been deleted before because there's not enough people like in OCE playing duos.
Duos is not there.
Yeah. Like you know what I mean? Like that's tough. And then at the same time, I feel like another fix possibly could be like, you know, Fortnite's unique. Every other game you can have these one-off systems or one-off game systems where you queue up and it's matchmaking entirely. You could give out points allocated to like 3-game tournaments you could sign up for in a certain amount of time. Like I think this rework makes sense for Fortnite. Like you turn things into like an MMORPG type beat. Like in some MMOs, it's like you can only do certain missions at certain times, right? Like the only example I know of is like in Final Fantasy. To get certain items, you have to go on a quest that starts for everyone every hour.
Yep.
But it's like the Fortnite rank system would be like every hour you queue up for a 3-game mini tournament. At the end of it, you gain like I don't know, you gain FNP Fortnite points, or you lose FNP Fortnite points, depending on how you placed in that 3-game tournament. And yeah, by the 3rd game, some people might have left or whatnot. But if everyone's competing for that FNP and like you're sucking up people into, I just realized what I did. Into 3 games.
What are you trying to gain? You trying to get some FNP?
I want an FNP, bro. I want an FNP. Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? That could be a system, like a mini tournament based system that gives out elo. That could hook people to play the game for longer. It would require less matchmaking overall because you're staying in within that set lobby as well. That could be a unique approach to introduce ranked and keep people also in that cash cuppy flow of playing those games, and have ranked also relate to the, you know, bigger tournament system, because you play multiple games to get your overall reward at the end, right? It's not just one. So I don't know, unique idea. Maybe change the point allocation name. Maybe not.
Is that your pitch? You know, am I the director of Fortnite operations, and that you just was that your pitch for the rework?
Joe Fortnite, what do you think?
I think it's better than what we have. I'll be real.
Yeah, but we need to direct the dev hours to your FNP solution, and I don't know if we can make that investment.
That's a lot of FNP.
The crazy part though is, to me, like it would, like, you know how price pools are decreasing, everybody's freaking out, whatever. Epic is like, yeah, price pools are going down. We were spending way too much fucking money on cash cups, boys. Like, thank goodness we're bringing it down. But like, if they had a system that did what we want here, that would be okay. Like, all, like, because there are consistently ways to play the game, and the price pools coming down would like literally be fine, because there's still quality stuff going on and being able to play those. Not necessarily FNCS, that's not what I'm talking about, but like just in general, they don't have to spend as much money because there was a rank system in the game that people will grind with incentive to get better and to progress without having money on the line, you know?
And like they get used to that, but
yeah,
it's just in terms of give and take, there is no give towards, you know, trying to there's no redistribution. It's just kind of take away and deal with it essentially. But never know what ends up happening when there's like something to actually mega advertise, right? That's like a big event, like, you know, World Cup 2 comes around or whatnot. Like maybe then there's another 100 million to drop. Because
by the way,
Epic Games,
I wanted to, Levin said like we have to just get rid of Arena completely, and I agree with that, but it's basically we need a rebrand, right? It's not like, because Arena right now is already tainted. If somebody's queuing for Arena, they expect a certain thing right now, which is to be able to W key the complete way. And if you just revamp it and Arena starts and then there's just a bunch of kids W keying already, then the new mode is already screwed no matter what. Like, especially if it's not robust as fuck.
Yeah, it just needs loss to where like kills need to be a multiplier, and then past that your placement is what gives you the points. Like that is what has just worked in the past. Maybe the overall, I don't know, Arena needs different timings for zones and whatnot. That could be a thing. It's its own thing entirely, and it's so different from how tournaments are played. So it should be experimented with, and it just needs loss. I think the only issue with Fortnite now,
it can't be linear.
It's just it cannot just be linear, added up to the whole way.
Little Timmy's going all the way up.
I understand. It feels good to get, you know, all the little Timmys to champs if they just play for long enough and check the item shop every day. Like that is the goal right now. But like at the end of the day, if it wants to be super sustainable, you want to lower prize pools, and everyone wants to have a good experience and you want players to improve,
Mhm.
there needs to be some type of loss. Timmy must be stopped at all costs.
Coach
But
Timmy must be stopped. What?
he's done too much. I'm pretty sure in 10 more episodes we'll have this conversation again.
Yep.
But yeah, are we gonna
Do you
rework?
think? Do you think there's something to be said about, you know, the fear of what happens if it doesn't work out for whatever reason? And I say that because this is my own newbie experience as a gamer right now. I'm playing a lot of Apex. I'm playing a lot of ranked. I recently, like, my ranked games just became very torrid, you know, just horrible games. And I discovered I can just play regular trio mode and still have loads of fun. And so I've just been playing regular trio mode. And it's a bit easier for me, right? It's not ranked. It's a bit easier. So I get people shitting at me. Of course, I still get the people better than me. I still get the people shitting at me. Right? Like, what happens if, like, you know, people just don't like the mode or for whatever reason it just doesn't work in a BR?
See, the thing though,
All right, let's pause real quick because I gotta get baby.
all right,
Pausing.
before I answer Levin's question, I had to make Balla disappear. Will he be back? Who knows? Regardless, when it comes to like you're playing ranked and then you know it doesn't work out, you're having troubles, you go back to playing norms. I feel like you know in Apex and other games, it works because things are so similar. Like let me rebound this by asking you a question, Levin. If in Apex normal games had a maximum of blue shields and you healed at half the rate, right? And zones were 2 times slower, would you play normals?
So, okay. Yeah, no. So the point is that there's nothing to go back to. So people will just play ranked. Essentially.
Yeah, like in at
Yeah.
least in Fortnite, because the original experience of playing the game is so far gone for competitive players. There's no siphon. Mats are
True.
literally the regen. Screw siphon. The farming mats is like impossible in
I don't know
pubs.
why why is that? And yeah, there's that you're making me think about a lot here. I'm actually thinking about what maybe it's just because we're so entrenched into the comp community. Like when you actually think pubs are like so far gone from like what we know as the normal.
Yeah.
Darn.
That's why I just feel like it's not even in the question. Like, and it's not prevalent in any other game. Like, yeah, in unrated and Val, there's only one round of overtime, right? Econ works the same way. Round timers are the same. Spike timers are the same. Yeah, there's Spike Rush, which is completely different. And I wish it was like, you know, it was an easy mode for Fortnite. Under a certain account level, you can just play pubs or, you know,
Like a
there's
booger
easy
mode or
pubs, you know. But that's the other thing. I feel like ranked for, or like, casual for Fortnite is Booga Endgame. It's like it's like just practicing that last portion, chilling and doing whatever there. It's not the whole Dropspot experience. I feel like when you're in that business, that's the real. For Fortnite, I just feel like it's slightly different, but that's just because we've been kept in separate cages the whole time, right? Like,
Yeah.
but yeah,
We'll be fine anyway. When modding comes out, Epic, we'll just do whatever the hell we want as mods, in it.
We'll see, man. Regardless, up next we got semis that actually ended up happening. So let's talk some results. Just take a look at all the heats and then hard focus on what was broadcasted because I didn't watch the others. But yeah, in EU semifinals.
Oh my god, you're making me remember. Because I was thinking this. Oh yeah, I was literally just thinking right now. What happened on semis day? Because all you remember is the Reboot round, right? And I will say this respectfully:
Yeah.
these games didn't slap at all, except for the final game.
Okay.
And like just the ending. The ending was cool. Ending was really cool.
Yeah.
But like these games didn't slap, and I don't know why.
I will tell you why. It's basically because when it comes to EU or it comes to Fortnite right now, I feel like when these top teams are playing, that's when, if we're there to watch something competitive, big things happen. And I also feel like semifinals, I was talking to my mom about this actually for some reason. Semifinals is like a fake tag overall. This is not the semifinals, right? When you look at the semifinals of any other sport, Levin, it's always like the qualifiers of the quarters are like, 25% stakes, 25% skill. As you go up, the skill increases, the stakes increase, right? Stakes here might be insane because literally a third of the teams, even more, get wiped out and don't get to go to finals. But the best teams are barred from playing. So how can you call it semifinals? You know what I mean? Like, it might be the
Yeah.
semifinals for some of these teams, but it's not like we're watching the Raptors versus the Cavs. They're barred for playing. We'll watch those two teams duke it out. Kawhi Leonard some other day. Right? I'm talking about them at their peaks because right now, if you do
Yeah,
Raptors versus or whatever, I'm an old head. Regardless,
yeah, no.
anyways, you know
I
what I'm
would have
talking
2 years ago. Bloody hell. No, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying because the problem that we have in Fortnite, yeah, I feel bad for complaining because I think we always had loads of complaints about the format. I think the format is finally at like a stable place. I still want there to be changes and adjustments. The problem is though, is that like we don't get to see our top competitors go through multiple stages of competition, and so we can't actually track a team over the course of a season like
about.
really well. Like obviously, I know how Savage and Jetta are and Savage are. Like I know what sort of form they're in relatively. I know what they're doing this season different to last season from watching them on other comps. But in terms of like the story of FNCS, we've just not been able to track them. It's just like, and then it ends up where we're in finals and we have to be like, hey guys, don't forget about these guys. They came second last season, by the way. They are sick.
Yeah.
You know, and whereas in like those competitions, like you said, right, like in like the NBA playoffs, you are across the whole playoffs, you are tracking round one, tracking this team, round two, you see how they do round three, round four, all the way to the round, and you sort of see like, oh crap, like, you know, this is where they were at the start of the playoffs, this is where they are now. Whereas
Mhm.
with a lot of these teams, the teams who called from last season and even first week of call one, it's like, what did, what did they do again?
Yeah.
I don't really
I have a
remember. Actually.
proposal.
You know?
Producer voice. I got a proposal.
Someone hit Balla?
What
Can we
if
really hit Balla at TW?
instead of going to grind, sorry, I have baby and Steph went to the dentist, so I have to take care of her. So I'm literally just doing production. But what if, hear me out here, what if the people who make it top 3 in grands, they get an incentive, but the incentive or the reward is they just make it to every round 4, no matter what. Always make it to round 4.
I like that.
I like that. I think that's been suggested before. But I like that regardless. I feel like that was like the OG idea overall of how things rolled down. And I feel like that suggestion also will make teams stay together more than staying or getting a free ticket to finals. Because I don't think people care about that free ticket, like sometimes even when they end up making it. Like the disbands showed that. Yeah, but to be able to practice and get better week after week, have those 3 teams, have everyone be able to play those teams. I think the biggest issue with this suggestion, though, and why it was denied in the past, or there were some talks about not doing it, is grief. Like people just, if they're auto qualled regardless, end up griefing it out. Now, if you're saying that it's they get to make it to round 4s until they qualify, I feel like that's fine. But to be able to play every round 4, obviously not. I would assume the suggestion is to play round 4s until they qual. I feel like the stakes for those teams should still be there. Like, you know, we don't watch a god team in any other sport just be at the top year after year after year after year, guaranteed last grand finals winners match, right? Like sometimes they fall in the semis, sometimes they fall before when getting to that point. That should be the same stakes for everyone else, right? Just do it the same way. It's one of the issues I've had with auto qualifying a team in grand finals. It's like, you know, we don't get to see that struggle process again or the domination process again.
And yeah, like imagine last season as well, right? Imagine if last season Thomas and Aston Fick had just gotten third and they auto qualified. They would have been in finals this season. But from what we've seen from them this season, they're not good enough to be in finals, right? That's the bottom line. So it's like, yeah, I do like that. I also find it funny how Balla's, you know, pretending that we haven't sacked him off. You guys don't listen to any of the nonsense he's talking about. We don't want him on the pod anymore. We sacked him off to be a producer. Don't listen to anything he's saying. Either way, man.
Can we go back to that semifinals first page real quick? What were you saying, Levin?
Yeah. I was just saying, like, that's an example of one of the things where, like, you know, there is change that can still be made. Like, I know people got to a stage where, like, we're happy about the general format of things, but there is still room for adaptation, change, and experimentation. I'm fine. You know what I mean? Like, the one biggest thing I always said at the start of the year was, like, we have 4 FNTASIA this year. It's an online year. We're not going to have lands. Like, let's just try some shit so that when eventually we know we will have lands regularly again, no matter what, our online events are always lit because we've tried everything last year. Last 2021, we tried everything possible. and we found the perfect formula, you know.
Yeah.
But I do fear that like this is gonna just be it now, you know.
I feel
And
like
I
we
think
found comfort
exciting
and
changes.
not perfection.
Yeah,
I feel like we're
exactly.
chasing comfortability now, which is always dangerous. But we'll see what happens. I think for semifinals, at least in this heat number one, the biggest surprises were seventh place. Obviously, as Levin's talking about, that's why I wanted to jump towards here. Flick, Anas, Thomas, HD. I feel like they were doing their thing. In terms of we'll make it in game 5 or 6. I feel like that narrative for semis should not be there with the quality of this heat. They should be dominating it. And the fact that they didn't end up getting that top 6, I mean, Levin, you already said it, don't deserve really to be in the grand finals.
Yeah, and it's weird because I watched that game that they won, the first place game in game two, and
Mhm.
they looked good. So I had the illusion in my head. I was like, oh, they're doing this thing again, where
Yeah.
they've turned it on, you know, when they need to. And obviously after that point, you know, we had to start getting ready for the broadcast, so I couldn't watch more. But uh, it's clear to me they've just not been playing the game enough. Like from watching them, they've just not been grinding enough. I think Flick actually has said that they haven't been playing the game enough. Um, the question I think became after semifinals and what went on to happen in Heat. I mean, in Reboot round, what do they do? Do they stay together? Do they split up? Is it just a matter of just you play the game more? You know, have they just lost their like? What do you do now if you're these guys? Because they shouldn't be here. The whole year we've put them in that elite group of trios. When you're talking about Henjan Shepard, you're talking about any team Tayson's on, you're talking about commandments, and we've put them in that category of the elite trios in all of World Fortnite. But after this kind of a performance, you can't put them there anymore.
Yeah, they got Hogman or Snooded, right? Was it Snood who had like the best placement overall in World Cup, but like never qualled? Or like
Yeah,
just consistent average?
something
Like,
like that.
you know what I mean? I just feel like they've gone through so much hardship of not being able to hit this top three or this like the highest tier to where it's just bogged them down. And they've been used to in the past at least doing whatever they wanted to do, falling. Obviously not the wave here. I feel like easy answer for us to say is stick together. Like you guys obviously have come to a degree that no one else has, and a troubling season. You can bring it back, but once again, we're in Fortnite. It's not always the case with everyone. And they could do something godlike like Tayson did, right? In terms of having a good team, having really good chem, switching it all up. It might cost other teammates their partners, but might make something really special. Another team, though, in the top 10 is 10th place itself, which to me was also a surprise. I possibly had them pegged as winning this entire heat. When it came to Link Fury Arizumi, because they do the best when like everyone else around them is really trying to win. I always call them like the counters to whatever's happening in the game. Love to give things up and then come back at a later stage. But I just don't think they hit that step two in terms of comeback in any of these games. Ended up in 10th in the heat, which is just surprising.
Yeah, they're a team who I think there's a couple teams like them where on any given day, like they are either a really good team or just a really mediocre team.
Mhm.
And today they woke up and they're mediocre. What I'd say is this season, I feel like has filled like this season. It feels like there are more of those teams than ever. I do feel like after the elite band of players that we have, everything is it's very mushy,
Wishy washy.
very wishy washy, very
Yeah.
wishy washy. Because I don't watch like those kind of teams, and even in particular with Link and Arizumi and Fury, I don't watch them and go, there's so many things that are just fundamentally wrong. Like there's times when their positioning for Surge just isn't great or their timing's wrong and whatnot. But like even the top teams will have that. Um, so it almost it confuses me. It makes me think like, so what really is it? And obviously, I'm not in the comms. I don't know if they maybe just don't like each other. You know what I mean? And it's why it's almost why like I've gotten to a stage when I see some of these types of teams, you see a lot with the French team. When I see them like switcheroo and stuff, as much as in an ideal world I wouldn't want it, I almost understand it because I think some of them will be looking around and they'll be thinking like, what is going on? Like, why are we just not winning? We just, yeah, I guess we just got to find that winning formula with different people. It's sort of, where I understand where that mentality comes from because I myself watching, I go like, don't really get what it is with you guys that is not clicking.
Yeah.
But even in the shit, okay, oh no, okay, I was looking at the wrong heat. I was gonna say there's a couple teams in other the heats I wanted to talk about, and
Yeah.
I don't know, like
That's like that's the two from me that were like big surprises. I thought that, I'm looking at other teams that had the potential for making like grands, or at least making the through semis overall, like Zaiku, Sun and Jules. Them not hitting top six felt like definitely was a possibility, because I just feel like these guys are along for the ride sometimes. If that ride is rocky, they end up in a horrible spot. And yeah, 33rd, 30th place. Like, you could see the potential today was there. Like, they do what they do, but when things don't go their way, they never kind of climb back. If they're in a
well,
good spot, they end up with good placements. If not, they don't. It's a very basic thing.
always weird for that tree in particular because they end up contesting on spawn a lot at Catty,
Mm.
and they actually win a lot. Is what I found. Like they win. I feel like they're a really good off spawn team at Catty, but then like they just never string enough together to win, and then they'll lose a couple. Like their performance in this heat is very, very. It's almost the exact same as their um reboot round performance in the sense of like they'll win the majority of the games off spawn. You think to yourself, wow, you are now set up perfectly. Your surge is dealt with. You know, you guys understand positioning. Wow, you're a good tree. You got good fundamentals. You got talent. Just not enough. And then you just have the 1 or 2 games where you lose your spawn, but as you will, and it just is it's too damaging for you to really get any sort of significant points on the board.
Mhm.
So once again, like there's just so many teams in that sort of general category.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
Past them, Blaster, Yakuzu, Nakos, 19th place. Um, in general, just feels like I once again didn't get to watch this heat. Didn't have the most amazing day, and trouble around what is kind of looks like fifth zone surge, or just starting to move, or just going into moving. It's rough. I'm not sure what the issue was there. They won the first game too, and ended up not throwing through the entire heat, which is crazy. That they literally just had one game that they got to do what they got to do, but maybe it was zones overall, because that's a discussion for NA East in a bit. But the people who did roll in, like, there's lots of level ups. Like, if people have certain experience now, and they've been consistent overall, now they're hitting the stride in semis. Hottie, you look at Strippern is one trio. Agram, Voxy, and Buzz as well, or whatever the last guy's name is, are two teams that I see that are just consistent enough now to stick around for at least finals, or be like shoe-in picks for semis, especially Hottie, Elocrats, and Trippin. I feel like we see them every time. Just a consistent team in EU. Haven't, gotten all the way to the top yet, but they can be a reliable team to predict move up in the rankings.
yeah, they're like at the top of the wishy-washy teams.
Yeah.
Like they are more often good than bad. And I think the lobby they're in will always be a determining factor in like just how good they'll be able to do. But I'm a big fan of them. I'm a big fan of them. I, have a personal bias towards Trippin, so I always like seeing them doing well.
Yeah.
But they're a really good team. I'm not expecting them to do anything amazing for us. And to be honest, like I don't look. Maybe I'll be reminded of a team when we look at some of the other heats, but there's no teams that have come through semi-finals that make me think, yeah, they're going to be a threat in finals. Genuinely, no,
Really? Okay,
nah,
I think
I
in
don't think
this
there's any.
heat, no. And then also last shout out to Rifle Save It Astro, who last FNCS needed a reboot and this time made it through the semis. We'll see what second, first, and fourth do. Anyways, go to Heat 2, chuck along, and see exactly what breaks down there. I feel like this Heat has one team that can kind of do something and be a threat to a lot of people in finals. That's second place, Loki Clement Deciptos. I feel like their mid game rotates, the way they handle pressure, the way they kind of have this thorny shield to them, or if they get tagged up or whatever, they instantly look for tags back. That kind of characteristic towards them, and the way they operated last season and the season before, still gives them a chance to be something this finals. I think this is one of those teams.
Yeah, they are they're probably the best team. I'd agree in saying that they're probably the best team that's come through heats. And they're on some decent form. I know they did well in week 3 qualifier, and obviously they've come second here. I'm just not sold. I'm not sold on this year. last season they looked really good. Like they were really impressive last season.
Yeah,
What does it say there? Where did they come on qualify
they
three?
qualified 3,
Sixth.
6th. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like
then last
they did right.
season is at 13th. It's so hold up, I can just click on the thing myself.
Let me
Bada
check.
boom.
Oh no, okay, no. Qualify three, they were stinky. Qualify two, they came sixth in round four.
Okay,
It was
okay,
round
okay.
four, yeah.
And
Um,
then true.
so
I'm
like
looking at,
that's
yeah.
like, but and that's the thing. I'm looking at it now. I'm even a bit more like it's not
I
been a
mean,
great
finals, it
season
came
for them.
12th overall the last season.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't think these guys are a team that this season does really really well in finals.
But they're a
But
threat. Their threat is I feel like
I
that's
don't,
the key term. Like,
unless they're gonna contest, because I'm pretty sure they're landing around Lake in finals, like around like the Misty Lake,
mhm.
and they're not gonna contest Andalex and that and Misty. I'm sure that those guys will have some mutual, we're not gonna get in your way type bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't see them doing too great in finals, man. I'll be honest.
Okay. Okay. Past
If
them.
anything, well, actually no, we'll talk. We're gonna talk about grand finals later, right?
Yeah. After all these
Yeah,
semis are wrapped, we'll
yeah,
talk
cool,
about
cool,
grands.
cool,
But
cool.
past them, Amplify 80 and Matzo have the momentum buff coming in
Yeah,
from semis to grands. Was it Jerky Queasy that had the same thing happen where they just played really well in semis specifically, or did they qualify through a week? I don't even
no,
know.
they did really well in semis, but PZ, Trulex, and Drakey looked really good in qualifying weeks as well. It
Yeah.
wasn't just the semis performance that made people know. They did really well in other competition. What I'll say about these guys though is that they've surprised me, this trio, because after last season with Benji, it looked like they fell off a cliff. Amplify Matzo didn't Matzo literally say he was like quitting the game? Like they were talking about how they just didn't like the game and they didn't have passion for anymore and all this. And then you think about who they brought back. It's not even like they've gone back and brought, in somebody who's sick and come up like they brought back their old thing in ADN, shout out to ADN, I love ADN, but you know what I mean? Like there was nothing about this season that inspired me with this trio. But in the past couple of weeks, they've just had a couple sneaky performances. I know when we were doing um, when I was doing Cash Cup Extra, there were a couple games where they were in them, and I was, sort of impressed by stuff they were doing. They've looked okay. They're a sneaky team, and if in finals they may have Pleasant uncontested, which would be
Huge for them,
very huge for them. Um,
especially with the way that they're overall comfortable. They're going back into old roles. There's not two
yeah,
extras overall in terms of the way people look at the trio.
yeah,
There, it feels like the boys are back. But I feel like with this team, if things start off wrong, they don't get better. As they started semis with the fourth, the second to look good. We'll see what happens there. This heat, though, in general, heat number 2, and they do have Pleasant uncontested confirmed. That's what we're looking at. Damn, whoever's controlling production right now is absolute phenom. Shout out to Balla's baby. That's probably what's going down right now. She's controlling everything behind the scenes. Already has the Fortnite knowledge ingrained. But
yeah.
the biggest thing about this heat, if you look from third down to sixth, I think 3 letters, kind of define what's going on here. Who? What am I looking at?
Yeah.
Maybe not overall. Like
Yeah.
I know Boobox rolling in expert. We always watch a lot, and Diablo Bayon. I think they took out Flecken, but Ghosty's there with them. That'll be cool to see another reboot round. Honestly, my favorite reboot round game of all times. Winners. And they also did the whole semis thing, rolling in like Rifle did. This is the heat of upsets with all these teams being here. If you go down this list a little bit, Huddy Mini is a little bit of a surprise all the way at 7th already because they are kind of that team that does top 6 in semis sometimes. You look at Kha'Zix, Falconly, ZQ. I'm just calling out names here real quick. Stasio, a little bit of a question mark there, but play well boys with CRAZY, Shaco's Bat Sniper, sometimes top 3 in qual weeks in previous FNCSs, now not making it through semis. Snagged and Steelix here. Nikov one loss Podesai here. Mitro X8CRR, which might have been a prediction to be, you know, flip flop either way, and not all the way you level up to a top 6, but still, it's like, you know, a famed name that's not doing well. Snazy Robab's Nate's not being able to do it in 25th. Robon and Stenna as well, after having that much experience from the quals right above them. I'm gonna keep going. Kinzel, Wakey, Freemock, or I don't know who the last. I'm fucking out of my mind right now. But regardless, those three rolling in as well. I drop K. Thank you. I for some reason confused the two so much. For some reason, I don't know why. This voice of God is actually so sick to just drop down and help us with everything, Levin. And then is there anyone else really? No. There's names I recognize, but there's a bunch of people that should be at least a lot higher or even in top 6 that didn't roll in today. That would make you assume too that, you know, what's it called? That this heat would be, or not this heat, that reboots would be a lot more fun to watch. And they were, I feel like, specifically because of this heat. Reboots were 10 times better overall.
I disagree with you on in the first part of what you said. I do agree that Reboot round was more interesting because of the failings in this heat, but I think the failings in this heat were expected.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I wasn't surprised by how this heat went on in terms of like when I looked at this heat beforehand, I thought Floki's team should do well. Amplifier's team will probably do well because I believe they were uncontested as well. And I looked at the rest of the heat and I thought, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. A lot of the teams are contested. A lot of the teams who aren't contested, who have decent name value, who you'd think maybe they could be making it to finals, have been stinky all season long. And so I thought, like, I don't see them all of a sudden just being good now just because it's semis and they're uncon. And that's just how it played out. Like, a lot of teams just didn't, you know, a lot of this, like, if you go through Kinzai, Jot Wakey, they've just not looked too good this season. Vetler, CRAZY Stir 6 just haven't been phenomenal. I was a bit skeptical. I was always skeptical of Mitro just because it's just Mitro. Snazy, Robabs, Nate. I don't know. Obviously, that one maybe is a bit more of a surprise, but I wasn't.
That has to be a surprise, man.
It's a surprise for me. It was a surprise in terms of name value, but I wasn't expecting. If that team had made it to finals, there wouldn't be a team I'm predicting anywhere near top
100%.
7 or 8
for this semis though. For the teams that were here, these teams have an innate advantage over the BK randoms coming in. No,
they have an advantage in terms of experience at like a high level Fortnite, but that alone isn't enough to carry you through. We've seen that's not enough to carry you through with like Thomas and Aston Flick. Pure experience now just isn't enough to carry you through. I believe Nate was contested as well at Steamy.
Okay.
So like, do you know what I mean? So like, it's like a lot of the teams were. That was my problem. Like a lot of the teams were contested, and if they weren't contested, they just haven't been that great this season anyway. And so it was just like, yeah, this heat was always going to be all over the place. That's just how I saw this heat.
Even with like deep wins overall, you could definitely tell that like consistency was so scattered, like all the way down to 14th. Shay Cause's team, VR, which like doesn't make sense to me, especially when it's double digits. You just need a little bit more. Literally feels like they just had that one game. But moving on to the heat that was broadcasted, was a lot of fun to watch towards the end, and had troubles in the beginning. I mean, we're talking about it before, like not sure how fixable of an issue that is for semifinals, but regardless, in this heat, biggest surprise to start things off for me was Flecken, Skal, and Kumu. Always feel like I'm just dodging like TOS with his name towards casting for some reason. Regardless, this man rolling in, Skyle or Scale, however you pronounce his name, played solos. He literally played solos.
So for the people who listen to the FNTASIA podcast, you are gonna, let me see if I can actually find it. But if I can't find it, I will let you guys know something. That unfortunately, as Fortnite as a whole, we don't do a good enough job of highlighting these things at the moment, whether that be just the community, the broadcast, whatever. We're getting there. But Scale in this heat put on like one of the best all-time performances of any player in Fortnite. But we just haven't, like, it's just no, and I know you might think, what are you on about, Leven? Like he, like in terms of like Shyo said, this man was basically playing solos and qualified. He played solos in this trio lobby and qualified them for the heat.
Yeah.
You
It's
might
crazy.
think I'm ludicrous. I'm trying to find like the actual like numbers and the stats and as to why, so I can like spit that for you guys. But he was insane, like absolutely insane.
Balla is keenly highlighting as we watch the gameplay on screen his med kits, and I think this was like in 3 games in a row, off healing 6th, 7th zone, and just creating so much time for himself to, you know, both understand what's going on around him and at the same time just gain placement overall. I'll give him a few bounce backs too, but like this man, Levin's correct. I think from let me try to look at it. Game 2 onwards, did things by himself. Might have been one game where all 3 were alive and they got a few elims to counteract the fact, but over and over again, we started noticing towards the very end, Skal by himself. Till game 6, he pushed the threshold. I think he got like 20 points solo to keep the threshold high enough for other people to roll in. He like surpassed what's it called?
So
I think it was Letwick's team, who was like 135 hard stuck, passes that by himself, gets 150 points, no teammates. Like,
yeah, so what it was is that he had, going into game 6, he had 58 solo impact points. And if you don't know what solo impact points are, they're basically like the points you are accountable for as a solo, right? Like just the points you have contributed to your team individually. And you might think 58, is that a lot? Is that high or not? The record this season in all of the like the FNTASIA qualifiers, everything this season, the record was 33, and he had 58 going into game 6.
Going into, and then
So like we're talking like in like when we say he was playing solos, no, like we mean like he was playing solos and like dominating. It was crazy.
Yeah, to put it into perspective, 58 was Kiko Slender Mongrel's total points at the end of all 6 games at 26th place. But yeah, that was an absolute beauty to watch overall. I think this was actually one of the coolest semis tuning in, like leaderboard wise, over and over again, because
hold on, can I just say something about that dude? That Kumu trio, bro. I'm sorry, but it is not. He just died right there trying to off heal again. It is not impressive to do what he did. I am sorry. You guys might look at the impact points or whatever, but he literally, his entire team, Kumu did it in 1 game too, and you guys don't give him credit for that, but literally they're just taking 3 medkits, going to 7th zone, and then off healing. That is so boring. It's not impressive at all. And he's not going to do well in finals. I'm sorry, because there's going to be 15 different teams doing that. It is such a boring way to play.
Balla. Nobody has even insinuated they're going to do well in finals.
All right, regardless.
Wait. No. Okay. Nobody has insinuated they're going to do well in finals. It's fine.
That's not the point, bro. You guys are hyping him up like this is like the most impressive. The solo impact was crazy. This guy is so good. One of the most impressive things in Heats.
But listen.
He just off heals, bro.
But that's the point. But that is actually the point, because at the end of the day, when you're playing in semis, the way like the Fortnite structure has changed now, all that matters is getting to the finals. That is genuinely all that matters. That's the only way for you to actually get any tangible, finance out of the season. So for him to do that is very impressive. He has taken his team, right, like into finals when nobody predicted they were going to make it to finals. If you honestly can tell me you predicted them to make it to finals, hats off to you. I will applaud you and bow down before you if you genuinely did. But like I'm very impressed by that. Like you're right, it's not an entertaining way to play. It's not like he was free mock popping off like crazy, but he didn't need to do that, and he was still able to get what he needed to get, and he got to finals above people who are much better Fortnite players than him. To me, that's very impressive. Like he did a great job.
I think there's valid points on both sides over the fact that yes, it was just he lost, but to me as well, he lost at this stage, undetected, uninterrupted, consistently over 4 games is the impressive part. And the gratification, I don't know what the word is, but to be able to make it to that next stage when top 6 matters and you are the consistent player doing it over and over, as boring of a strategy as it is or unimpressive on paper, I think the allocation of everything and what it means for the team is the dope part. Impact points included, key terms included or not. That is at least my take is.
I have one more point here, is that it's not just Scout. Like, if you want to hype up anybody, it's if you want to hype up anybody, it is everybody, because they literally feed, like, this is like the Orchard strat with that kid last season, right? From Slurpee. They're literally just feeding the fish to him and he gets the credit. But in reality, it's not like he's doing anything special, you know? His teammates deserve all the credit too.
Okay, respects, but I only saw his name. You know, I understand who might have had his one heal off there. I think it was like 3 games almost in a row, or it was just him as a solo rolling in and making the decisions, you know, alone. Obviously team is in the ear and whatnot, but true. The other teams rolling in as well. One team that I think we had a conversation about Levin before show started was 6th place, the Loot Boy trio. I said this might be a possibility. I was shut down by everyone, I think.
You did?
You did as in question or you did as in confirm?
If this was a conversation we had before the show, I must have been muted, bro.
This was fueling. This was the one thing fueling my body the whole day, was watching this team play.
You're not recording.
Because I think they came in 33rd, absolute dead last in the lobby, which means dead last in series points as well, and then pulled off the qual. I'm just trying to basically. Anyways, Pink won the heat. The heat overall, yes, really boring, and the biggest part about it, at least till game 6, was the Malibuca clutch, which was dope towards the very end. It was very close, like 1 point between everyone. And then they ended up going off towards the very end, popping off, winning. They needed to do that. It was huge. Bobby, really unfortunate for him. Didn't get to qualify through semis. 5th place, 4th place in quals. Freemock was so close in that situation as well. Lots of other good teams in the business. Yada yada yada. I think another surprise. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I'm just trying to grasp at something because I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. The coolest team I feel like in this entire heat actually didn't end up qualifying, and it was Artie, Belusi, and Kowalski. Thoughts? Maybe I'm remembering their reboot play more than their semifinals play, because that might happen a little bit for a bunch of the teams that didn't qual. But these guys were challenging heights. These guys were. This was in Reboot. We'll talk about Reboot in a sec. But their low ground play was like, you know, it felt like you could sense the desperation, but the desperation was causing them to play so much better, make risky choices, and have them work out successfully. And it's a team that I haven't really heard anything from before at all. The only Kowalski I know is a Middle East player. So
Kowalski's darker.
Okay. In terms of like EU, this is my first time kind of tuning in and seeing what's good with them. Personally, at least, committed to memory. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I said at the start of the show, this is something I remember actually saying. I did say I could see those guys calling.
Yeah.
Because we do that. I don't know why I don't remember you mentioning it, but we do at the start of the show. We'll talk about like who could you see calling, and I could see them calling. So the only thing I like about this heat was the one heat where I looked at it and I thought there are 6 teams that I think just should qual. Like I saw this heat as being heavy, as top heavy as these heats could have been. And that was one of the teams where I thought they should qual.
Say again, your mic
I
cut.
could see them. All these team is a team who I thought
Okay.
like they should qual. Like this is a team good enough to qual in this heat. And it just didn't work out for them. But it didn't work out for a couple of teams. Like I thought Bloomy would qual. I genuinely did think Bloomy would qual, and that's not even because of like Bloomy memes or I like Bloomy. Like I genuinely thought in this heat they should be one of the best teams. They should qualify. I also thought probably Rotary's team should qualify. Where did they finish in? 17th or something?
17th, yeah.
Yeah, that they should have qualified. I didn't think Pink would do as good as they did. I still thought they could qual, but to win the heat, they kind of stole it away, right? It wasn't really. It didn't feel like they had won, right? Like got first place after the last game. It was mainly Safik default and
Future,
Putrick
yeah.
also there.
But it was like
Um,
back and forth the entire time. It
yeah, I
kind of
guess.
felt like. My question to you, like you mentioned them, like is it not a meme for Bloomy, Pablo, Tomsy? Because every time we're watching, it just feels like by the end of it, it's a meme result, or like it's hype up, yada yada yada, oldest player, this that, and then they do nothing. Like I feel this seems just overhyped and supremely overrated.
No, why do you think they're overrated?
Because they're always predicted to do well and they come out with like a 15th or a 20th place. They're always a topic of conversation. I feel like it's there more so for the meme than their actual potential. Like that's why I feel like it's overrated.
Well, they're predicted to do well in lobbies like this because when it comes to just a lot of practice game, like when it comes to a lot of practice, like this is a team that everyone knows is very hard working in terms of um just like scrims and stuff. Like they do really well in that. They
Yeah.
don't have their results aren't bad. Like I think I think they've gotten good results in. I think they only made round 4, but I think they had a decent result in there. Like I don't think this team's overrated. I think you just hear more about them just because they are like more brandable in the community, as in like people just talk about Bloomy because it's Bloomy, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't think they're overrated. I do think they're quite good. I think there's plenty to watch about them, and I think like you could watch this team and learn from them, whereas you
Mhm.
can't with a lot, right? Like I do think they're a good team. I don't know. Like I they should have called, and that's not me like even thinking about in the meme. Like they probably should have called in the seat,
Yeah.
but
No, it's just
you know,
every time I've seen topics of them, like by the end of the day, there's always just they should have, they should have, they should have. The
no, I don't
they
think so.
that I'm like I can't call the specifics, but like that's just the vibe that I've gotten over time, and this was like one of the specific times I can think about it. Like that's just my experience with the team so far. I haven't had too many they've done it experiences with them
I think that's
myself.
unfair. I think the only real talking point about them was when they actually did it and made it to FNTASIA finals last season when it was
Mhm.
Bloomy, Tomsy, and Percy. No, it wasn't even. Was it Tomsy and Percy? Yeah,
That was
Bloomy, Tomsy,
personal,
and
yeah.
Percy. I think. But that was like the main point when people were talking about them, and that was because like they did it. Like people were like, oh my god, Bloomy actually did it. It's more than just him being good in prac and him being very knowledgeable of
Okay.
the game, understanding the
Okay.
game well. But like
Yeah.
beyond that, there's never really been much more times when people are like talking about them like crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sure. I mean, the
uh
one crazy talk that is there all the time is whenever Mongrel's name is mentioned, there's like some dedicated hard focus. And these guys, once again, uh, I think it was expected for them not to make it through. Expected as well for me personally for them to be a little bit lower on the board overall. 26th ending, right beside Wolfie, Marine, and Malign as well. Who I think I'm getting distracted again. No, it's impossible for me to get distracted by Reboot because they weren't there. But these are guys like at least Wolfie's team that I see that have a lot of potential in certain games or have like a right play or a dope position. It's just, it's just watching great names kind of phase out, it feels like at this point. I'm not sure what Marlon's going to do next season if he sticks with that trio. I'm not sure what happens to Wolfies either. But lots of people near the bottom in that sense. Overall, looking at other things in the heat.
um what I'll say on Mongal's trio is I wasn't surprised by it at all.
Yeah.
Um I'm trying to find it because I think I saw Boop like mention the fact that like they were like quitting scrims and stuff, and it was just like, yeah. I don't. There's not much more to really say. When I did catch up extra with Reese, it was that we were watching them and like we were both sort of just looking at each other like, I don't get this team. I can see what they were
Yeah.
trying to do. Like like I don't want to say you can see progression, but it's like, they would pad, first moving, and they weren't looking for height. And you think, oh my God, wow, progression, improvement, maturity. But
Yeah.
then like you watch the rest of it, and you're like, well, maybe maybe you're better off psycho and height anyway. Like I don't really think this was too impressive. So Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like you said, moving forward, does Mongo stick, leave? I don't know, man. I don't know. If they're quitting scrims, that to me is a sign that like there probably are like chemistry issues, right? Like if you can't get through scrims with each other at this level, because at the end of the day, they're not like like if you told me Hen Jonas and Trappers can't get through scrims with each other because they're like bickering and shit, I probably wouldn't care. Like I'd still predict them to an FNTS.
Yeah.
But when you're like the level team that they really are, if you're not able to get through scrims, you're not going anywhere.
Mhm.
And maybe you are just better off trying to find something different.
Yeah.
It's just him. Kind of like these guys. Like Mongo, big fan of Mongo. I used to be a massive fanboy. I used to buy all my gear based off of what he had. I love Kiko as well. Portuguese Magnifico and Slender's great as well, but it's not.
Now, before we hit, I just want to hit EU Grands, the drop spots, but take a look at Reboot real quick. Just talk about the people that made it. It was Sean Andy, and I still don't know who L2R2 is, but bro, like change your name.
Trashy.
Still don't know who L2R2 is, but bro, change your name.
Trashy.
Yeah, I'm not acknowledging it until he changes his name. I'm calling this guy L2R2 till the day I die.
You know what's so funny as well? Me and Reese, like, so after Ziandy's crazy clutch, right? You know, brilliant clutch by Ziandy. We should, you know, give him his flowers for that.
Yeah.
After that, we obviously, Reese and I are obviously in the analyst room and we're monitoring like his followers because we know like his followers are about to go crazy.
He was at like what 300 or something, or was it 3K? I don't know what he started
No,
the day
it
off
wasn't.
at.
It wasn't that low. But
No, I tuned in like right as he won because we have the delay, right?
yeah,
He had like
yeah.
3K. And how many did he end with?
No, he didn't have 3K. He had more than 3K.
No, I swear to God, it was 3K. Maybe you tuned in 5 seconds later than me, but I followed him at 3K, and now this is the reboot effect, man. You look at Andy's followers now.
He's on 19K now. But
19.
what I was gonna say,
Jesus.
when I like what I was gonna say is that Reese and I were like tracking it, and it was like before the next game had even ended, he had gained like double how many followers Chashi has as a total, and we were just like, maybe Chashi would have been able to get some if he just had his regular name, like who knows?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That was a sick clutch from Andy, and it was like the first like at least like to my committed memory, like one of my favorite head-to-head matchups because it was literally, you know, these guys trying to hold height over and over. He's going back and forth. I think they get chopped, and then like Andy clutches like the landing at 1 HP, goes back and forth. Watching on screen right now, and has this sick zone play. Regardless, that was a very dope win and amazing clutch. He gets chopped again, I think, by Stir6 and then catches himself. Yeah. So survives 2 crazy chops. Finally tells this guy to just shut up and keeps playing. The next winners, which obviously we didn't know much about, were Rotary, Tosia, Alpha, I don't Rotary, his teammate, and Litter, LDER. Once, dude, honestly, names are just Struggle City Nation. Regardless, that's the one that we didn't get to see. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go back and even watch how. Apparently, it was a Southern Zone, so shit always gets crazy, and it was the first of Thomas's max zone rotates where they just handled it horribly as well. I think that's the main takeaway I have from the game, for at least that from what I watched. If you do have max zone and you have 2 launch pads and you're height and half, why don't you just pressure and then launch? Why try to maintain height? Like, I don't know what they were going for, but I felt like that's such a, you know, it's just a mistake that team of that caliber can't make. And they did it twice in game 4 again. They made the same error to where they have a max moving zone and they try to just split tarp it. Like, it doesn't work in Reboot.
got, like triple landed and
yeah, like it's Artie did it the first time. Artie's dead, so I'm like, okay, maybe they have a chance. Random team, I don't even know what the names are, but someone's going to literally land on you. Just give up height and then take it again in 7th. You have the fucking mats for it. You have the position. You have more than everyone. You have height and half. Like
that was where for me I watched that, and the first thing I just said was like, yeah, these guys haven't played enough. Because I remember like this season, in terms of like, you know, you come into the season, obviously, I take a long break at the start, but then I start reviewing, doing my prep. Like the first thing I remember like thinking to myself with this season was like, oh, pads are back. You can't
split top unless you're just very aware. Like
Yeah.
I remember, I think the first VOD I watched was just a team that had split top and they got like triple landing on a high, and I was like, okay, well that this season you just gotta be careful of that.
I mean, you could do what Falconly did, right? Like
Or
these
like,
guys were at the moon.
of course, right? But then like my point is that like that was one of the first things I sort of remember, like, you know,
Yeah.
thinking about the season, and it's like if you're still making that mistake at the end of the season, essentially, you know, not gonna work out well for you. But
Yeah.
it was good to see Rotary win, even though we didn't see the win. It was good to see them win because they were a team that I thought should qualify from their heat. So, you know, it's good that they're actually going to be in finals, because I think of all the wishy-washy teams as well, they're probably one of the better wishy-washy teams.
Yeah. And then Falconly, Keswick ZQ, the thing that everyone always talks about on Twitter when Reboot was first introduced, yo, getting second, it feels so bad. Like, why is Reboot even a thing or whatnot? Maybe it should be consistent overall. They get second into a win afterwards, which has to be like one of the best feelings. And they're high ground control. I'm not sure if it was the second game or the game that they won overall. It was just, you know, anti-striding Reboot, which was sick. They were just so damn high that you would need riffs to kind of retake height on them, which was just very smart. Game 4, which is the first time that we've seen it in Reboot, also had a pretty cool story. In terms of just looking at it on the leaderboards, I think that Pixie Jag and Tenzin just ended up, you know, being one of the teams that win at the end. Like everyone else is fighting, and that one team rolls in and win. They had 3 games where they died off spawn. I think 50-50 contesting. I don't know exactly where, but it was going horribly. The last game they get a chance to play, and they win out with 10 elims, which is sick. But yeah, unfortunate that Bat Sniper didn't end up getting a win. They're the next up on the list, and I feel like they, you know, we always see them in finals doing some, just being that nerd at school, in middle school, in American movies, getting bullied from Lazy Lake, or, you know, he's just part of the process in EU. I don't feel like it can be a finals if Bat Sniper's not there, making me not want to say, wow, that was a bad snipe shot that he took, like resisting, you know? But like, don't have to deal with it this time.
I'm sure the EU FNTASIA finals will be fine without a bad sniper.
It's still like, you know, man's a consistent finalist. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
We will live. I can assure you, we will live without a bad sniper in the finals.
The only people I'm pissed about not making it is Artie, Belushi, and Kowalski after the way they played in Reboot. I feel like they'd be so much fun to watch in finals if they played the same way. But obviously, people don't always play the
But
same
they
they
got
do in Reboot.
shit on by Andy, so
Yeah. It's just they were shitting on everyone. They were that bitch in the lobby. I feel like the energy was sick. But not there. Other names that possibly might split. Actually, not even worth saying.
Did you talk about the team that won the last game of Reboot round?
Yeah. I did.
And this is crazy. I leave, and all of a sudden, you guys are forgetting what each other is saying.
Shut up. Can you go back to being producer? Like, we don't want you here. Like, that was the whole point of you being the producer. Now we don't want you to speak. Thanks. Anyway.
I did. I was saying how, you know, they died off spawn multiple times in a row. I don't exactly remember what the hell happened. I feel like it was just one of those, you know, yo, everyone else is dying. This team ends up winning, and it's cool that they died off spawn completely over and over again. There they are.
Okay. So this is the reality. Trixie, Tenzin, Jaggy. I remember I watched them I think it might have been, I don't know if it was DreamHack or Cash Up Extra, but they were okay. They're like an okay trio. They're like a middling trio. Very mediocre. Not bad, not good.
Okay.
Just okay. But they were getting donkey fucked at fucking Catty. Like,
I'm sorry,
like,
what?
They were getting absolutely ragged at Catty corner. And then they just win the last game. And that, to me, as much as Reboot round is like exciting and all this and all that, that is the one thing that triggers me on Reboot round. Because, like, okay, I can get if you win the 4th game and like you've been, imagine Cammy City and Teak. Imagine if there was a 4th game last season and Cammy City and Teak won it. right?
They
Then
wouldn't.
you're
They
like,
would get second. They would get
well,
second.
I know, but like that's what I'm saying. If they won it, like you did that you'd be satisfied because you're like, ah, but for a team to actually get last in every single game, like they got 33rd, then a team was removed, but then they got 32nd, then another team was removed, so then they got 33rd. Like they actually got like dead last in every single one because they were just getting ragged off spawn. Then the one game that they win off spawn, they just win the game, and now they're in FNCS finals. Like that to me just feels a bit. I don't know about that one, Chief, but that's the beat of Reboot round. So
That's a
congrats to them.
Fortnite experience, and who knows?
It is.
Maybe this is the strongest team in EU, but they've just lost off spawn one too many times. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I look. I will be rooting for them on the sole fact of I know what it feels like to have imposter syndrome, and they might feel that way in finals.
You know what? I'm predicting they win the FNCS. They're gonna get first place out of Caddy Corner.
Shut the fuck up.
Uncontested. It's gonna be a good time. Let's move on to drop spots.
What's the highest placement from Caddy Corner in this year?
Is it 4th by Andalex?
Probably. Well,
right?
Yeah. Gonna be topped this weekend.
Yeah, first by that trio that I've already forgotten the names of.
Respect Tenzin, Trixie, and Jaggy. Respect.
How things look overall on this map. First off, let me just say, feels bad, man, for Andalex, Xweez, and 4ZR. Because uncontested, they looked very nice. They looked in form, and that's what they always aim for. But they're gonna have to share Misty. They had Misty and Metals to work with, which is why I think they were strong. The qual week we were watching.
I don't think they are sharing it, bro.
I don't think there's no way they fight. There's no way they fight. They have to be sharing.
That's the point. I think Floki and the Sisters are going. I said this earlier. I think they're gonna go lazy lake. Like they're gonna take the lake and shit around. I think. Yeah. I think
the Siptos takes the left side. But
I don't think they do that.
I if that's the case, then be vibing. Whatever.
The current rumor is that Misty's gonna blow up though.
Oh, for real?
Oh my god. Yes, that's all I've been wanting for. I was really scared we were gonna have an FNCS where something crazy wouldn't happen. Wow. You know what? Yeah, honestly, okay. I don't know how you guys are gonna feel about this, but if in game 4 of FNCS, like there was an in-game event and a POI blew up, I wouldn't mind. I just feel, I'm sorry, I might look like a hypocrite. Maybe you guys are gonna start going back and old Leven vids, and I want that to happen. I want Misty to blow the hell up.
Think bigger, bro.
Finals, bro.
Think Fortnite, right? This is what I want. I want literally, if there was a game 4 event, it would have to be like the ghosts of FNCS's past, like from those POIs, like the best trios end up spawning there. Fortnite finds a way to get artificial intelligence working. They can. They have the potential. They have the funding. And then you watch like the best trios either face past versions of themselves and they're doing the same tech, or like different trios from all regions, like the best trio. You know what I mean? Like, and it's busting down. You got Arkham Rex Epicville versus Tayson Vino Reason. You know, Zayt Saf stretcher there too. It's getting crazy. You know, I feel like that's the in-game event. And then the POI is also crumbling. Like it's switching between every variation it's had in the past. Like the bottom right suddenly turns into Paradise Palms. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, Believer Beach turns into Paradise Palms. People are getting the prop hunt. Booga versus like Inspires happening in the back of anyways.
Okay.
It's like Avengers Endgame.
Shyo Asia is trolling.
Crazy.
Shyo Asia is shyoing right now, but I'm being serious. I hope they blow up a POI.
No, you don't.
I honestly actually do. Honestly, I do, because I want to know what would happen. Like, I just want to see, you know, the ones that like I want to see,
bro.
I want to see you and Sancho react to that. I want them to kick it to the desk after the game and Zeke say some crazy shit, and me and Reese just have to say, I wholeheartedly want to see them just blow the whole map up.
You're really hitting the SAF vibe right now. You're really hitting the SAF vibe.
That's crazy.
What do you remember about TwitchCon, the autumn, the one they did like
In 2018, I remember Ziff and Ronaldo just fucking running through that lobby. Crazy low ground plays. I was there sitting on the bench.
You don't remember anything. All we remember is all
What?
flying around, man.
No,
Nobody remembers
man.
anything. Just
I remember
give
the
us,
games.
blow up the map. Give us like zero
Levin, you're not
gravity
even getting the
whole
tournament
end
right,
game.
bro. You're talking
and-
about PAX West. You didn't even got the tournament right. Like, get your shit together.
I know that's the point, man. I don't remember any of that shit. Just give me the shit I do remember. Give me the blowy up.
Man,
Give
of
me
course,
the zero
the
gravity
Taco
flying
Time,
around.
the Taco Tuesday activist wants Taco Time back.
Give us, oh yes, give us Taco Time back for a whole endgame.
All right.
Oh my god.
Can we just end the episode?
Shit,
like,
bro.
this is the worst.
You're gonna remember that shit. Get back to producing. Get back to producing. Flipping out. He keeps nabbing it off, man. Yeah, that's what I want, man. Give me that.
Yeah, next episode, you're going to be literally like Saf. You're going to be like, this meta's so bad. Bring us no mobility. I want the most boring thing ever. And that's literally what you're going to do next episode. So shut the hell up.
No, it's not what I'm going to do.
Listen, the one thing I think that will satiate everyone's taste that wants new shit, bro, just bring back one little thing that's non-invasive. Everyone, like Levin, Saf, they will just shut up. Just bring back like a quad crasher. And everyone's just chilling. We're fine.
No,
I don't need to blow up the map. You don't need this. You don't need this crazy stuff. Bro.
Drop Kevin on lazy or something.
Okay, let's talk about the Kevin trio that came in and removed the old lore, added the new lore, Dirty Docks, Default, Sapphic, Putrid. This is the first time we're watching a different flavor this year, I believe, in the FNCS.
God. Oh, bloody hell.
Right?
Oh, let's not do this, Shyo. Come on.
Why? Too soon, bro?
Oh, no, it's not even that, man. That's something. We finally have gotten through all of the stinkiness of the season, and we finally have a chance to actually talk about the truths we've like are good and we've not seen for ages. And you're starting off with talking about Sapphic at
yo, facts, Levin. Facts, bro.
Come the fuck
fucking
on,
drag this man.
Like, ask me about Hen or Andelex or some shit. Don't ask me about Sapphic at Dirty Docks. Come on.
Started with Andelex.
Oh my god.
Oh, let's talk about Hen, Genis, Chapix at Craggy then. Wow, they're gonna do so good, bro. I'm hyped to watch. What do you want to talk about next, Levin?
Hey,
we're gonna talk about Tayson having Believer Beach uncontested. That's gonna be so cool. I hope they don't struggle on Surge. Where else do you want to go, my friend? Wow, Queasy's at Hydro again.
I'm not in the ring anymore. I'm not in the ring.
Bro, stop. You're the podcast. I'm the producer. Shut the hell up. Start talking.
Same, bro.
Talk to me about Noah Vidil Aqua then, because this is something that we haven't seen before.
Aqua's back.
Guy can't even talk. Like,
I just said something. You fucking
go for it. Not go for it.
No, I'm reformed. I'm happy to see this trio this season at Bernie Burbs OnCon. Honestly, this is the reality about this season's final. We have finally reached full submission. Actually, go top right, check Steamy again, because I know there was some issues with Steamy. I think they might be contested. Yeah, okay, that's not good. I was going to say, we have finally reached full submission by the third FNTASIA of the year, where all the good teams just get their spot on con, and everybody else has to fight off. And if Steamy wasn't on con, it would genuinely be that. Like, just all the actual, just elite. I feel like we don't get that, where there was always just one or two teams who are sick, but they just have to deal with uncon. And like, but this season, it just feels like everybody understands, yep, not going Sweaty, not going Bony, not going, Craggy, not going Misty. Wherever there's a Titan team, we're just not going. But unfortunately, Steamy gets screwed again. Unlucky, Reffy.
For the first game, at least.
Oh, yeah, for the first game, at least. But look, I actually am excited because, well, I don't know, maybe this isn't really a reason to be excited, but I think the top, 6 will be, exactly how we expect it to be. And I'm fine with that.
We had that vibe, in season 5, right?
I'm trying to remember season 5. I can't remember season 5 finals. What was that, the one that Hen Genesis Traffic's one? Yeah, but but season 5 finals, it sort of went like that as well. Like, everybody we expected to be in the top 4 was the top 4.
Yeah. That's
and even last season was like that.
like I do genuinely just feel like there's such a gap like between those teams and everybody else that like if they're not in like the top 8, it's like it actually is just like you've done bad. The one team I'm most excited for, like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. What do you think is like the order of these trios at the moment, like coming into this like weekend? Of like those like top, like if you had to give me like a top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah, like
And you want me to
you-
be specific in the top 5, or do you want me to
Well-
just give you 5 teams?
well, just like give me the general power ranking, give me like the quick sort of debrief of like, okay, da 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 da.
Power
first
ranking
person.
wise, I think the strongest team coming in is, personally, like I'm just thinking and I'm thinking about how things go. I feel like first is going to be Noah Vidal Aqua this season. Second will be Hengenis Chapix. But in terms of like potential for strength, past that too, obviously Tayson Vino Reason is in the mix. I want to put Refsguard Savage and Dread up there, but they're contested, so I can't. Their power gets a little bit off in that instance. I'm iffy a little bit on Queasy Jerky and Trulex. That's like a big question mark for me. I feel like Cami Seti Teak are in the top 5 as well, and then the last would I don't even know.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, no.
What are you saying? This is what?
No, nothing. Keep going.
Okay.
Who's the last?
The last is a filler from one of the 3 other POIs that's uncontested. I don't feel like Endlex, Xrees, and 4ZR are there. That's also another question mark, just because they don't have that entire south side free. But it's like a mix up between 80 and Metal Amplify, Default, Pink, and Endlex for me.
Okay, I completely disagree with you.
Okay, why?
Because I think when you're actually just looking at production, just going good. That's how we know the baby took the mouse. Production's actually crazy. I think Andalex is true in terms of like if I was doing like a power rank in the form of like who do I think just based off of what I've watched of them, like their gameplay, like who are just the best trios. Make your damn point, says production. You know what, guys? I don't get paid enough for this. I'm leaving. I'm not taking this abuse from some some BK random producer who just thinks he's the guy or something. Like I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
What is the point?
My point was, I think Andalex is probably the second best trio in the lobby behind Hengenis and Chapix. I think Andalex.
How?
I think Hengenis and Chapix is the best trio in the lobby. I think what we've seen from Andalex's trio this season, I think they're the second best team in the lobby.
I think
you're saying low. You're saying low, Balla. You're saying how, Shyo? What? How? Tell me why not. From what you've seen of them, tell me why not. This guy's putting Nick Young on the screen. I bet you haven't even fucking watched them. I actually bet you've watched minimal amount of Andalex this season. For you to be putting the question marks, bro, what have you been watching that I haven't?
I've been watching whatever's been on broadcast. For me personally,
bro, it's like you didn't even like listen to the last episode. Like they banged in the last qualifier, but like, what are you saying to act like we didn't watch them? We had a whole segment where we're like, yeah, we don't actually think that they're gonna do well because of this, and this.
Okay,
I might have forgotten.
My apologies.
But, you know.
Apologies. But genuinely, what have you seen from them that makes you think that they aren't?
Because they've had a setup where big teams aren't in the, like, for me, a team that needs to be that's gonna take top 5 in EU or gonna be first or second is one that can, like, dominate the lobby or at least put some type of control down on everyone. I've just seen these guys when they're in positions where they can win games or wrap things up, they choke or they fumble. Or if it's an issue off spawn or they have less power overall from where they are on the map, or the issue rotating, they don't do well at all, like in that qual week or in the 6-game structure that they're in inside FNCS. Now the reason
I feel like you're talking about an Andalex I feel like you're talking more about Andelex, Xyz, and Snasia previous season. I don't think you're
I feel
talking
like
about
that translated
team
over to
of
this. I feel like
season.
they were very rocky up until their last qual week, where they slightly finally figured things out. But that's also where there were all, you know, a bunch of weaker teams, not this lobby overall. For me, the reason I have them in top 5 is that I feel there's going to be this huge power vacuum all the way on height, or, you know, there's going to be a bunch of ego overall in this lobby for trying to win the game. And these guys can slide by undetected and have a very good overall placement. But the fact that they can't dominate a lobby of this caliber, in my opinion, and they don't have the experience as a trio yet in their, like, in the way they play together, because individually and as a duo for Analyx and Squeeze, they have that XP, but compared to the other trios in the lobby, they just don't have that domination factor, and you
That's
need
a
that
myth.
to win a U.
No, you don't. Crazy Trillis and Jerky didn't have that. What you just said they need for you to be proved that they're good enough. Crazy Trillis and Jerky didn't have that last season, and they won FNTASIA.
I swear to God, they had height in half and half and
No,
held
but
it.
your
pressured
point,
everyone.
but they didn't have this. But you're saying that this trio as a trio, they've not shown you the experience that they can go out there and dominate lobbies in 6-game formats or whatever it is.
No, I'm saying that, like, I'm not saying that they haven't shown me that. I've said they failed at doing that. Crazy Trulix and Jerky never showed me that, but these guys have had the opportunity and choked against worse teams.
But I really disagree with you with that, because where we have seen them, they literally did dominate.
But that was in a week where these guys, like, the upper echelon of EU was not playing. Like, in this lobby, I feel like they'll struggle.
So when
against teams that are louder than them.
My point, okay, but my point is you can say the exact same thing about Crazy Tricks and Jerky about last season before they won.
But it's
you can
irrelevant.
say the exact same thing.
It's I think
No.
I agree with you. Crazy Jerky and Trulux are not like the domination factor, but I think it's irrelevant to compare the two, where because I think Andalex, Xyz, and FNTASIA are literally a team that must have that domination factor. If they don't, then they're going to be somewhere at the bottom of the leaderboard.
No. And I'm saying no because the only reason I mentioned Queasy Trulix and Jerky in response to Shyo is because you're talking about you need that to win an FNCS in the EU. But that's not
I disagree with that too. Yeah, like I don't agree with that.
That's the only reason why I brought that up. I don't agree with that. And so and based off of that, like I don't think if you're gonna tell me you don't think they can win because
what is their X factor then? Like, I guess that'd be the best question to put out there. Like, what is the reason that these guys win overall compared to, you know, the height takers and like the more aggressive or consistent trios that have stuck together over time?
So initially my point was that in terms of a power ranking of what are the best teams based off of how they've played so far this season, especially in the weeks leading up to the final, you would put them, I think it's fair to put them second behind Henjanis and Chapix.
They struggled though, bro. Like, these other teams didn't struggle. They got it first week. They just popped off. Like, I don't think it's fair to put a team that struggled high up in the top 5. I feel like they can be in top 5, but they're 5th or 4th.
That's not fair because once again, last season we saw Tayson's team struggle and what happened to them.
I understand that, but I'm talking about this season from what we've seen.
But you're saying that, but then you're not actually giving me things that are tangible to this season that make a difference. Right? You're saying this season. So what about this season is so different that you can't see why that is possible now? Because Tayson struggled more so than Andalex struggled last season. So why can't you? But you weren't saying that last season. You weren't saying that it was not possible for Tayson to do well or win because of that.
But I wasn't putting Tayson second place last season. Like, I was still. I'm not saying these guys are dog shit. I'm putting them in the top 5, Levin. Like, I'm just not putting them in first or second.
Once again, you're not. I'm saying that they are the second in terms of the way they've played. They are the second strongest team. That doesn't mean they are going to get second place. But my point is that they are the second strongest team. The same way Henjans and Chapix, like Rescott and Savage. They are probably the 3rd or 4th strongest team, but once again, when you actually look at it, they might not actually get that kind of a position because of all these other factors. But my point is that based on what we've seen so far from Andalex, Xyz, and FNTASIA, I think it's very fair to say that they are easily a top 3 team in terms of their strength. Like, when everyone's at their best, who is, you know, blah, blah, blah. I think it's easy to say
I can't put them ahead of Tayson, and I can't put them ahead of Aqua, unfortunately.
I
Yeah.
disagree.
Okay.
I don't
Respectfully.
think you're giving me enough reason to suggest why you wouldn't, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have them equivalent to like I just feel like they have a passer like for this trio they have kind of like a passerby type beat, like a Cami Setitique type.
I don't see how you can say that because they dominated in a week where
I understand, but there's not enough room to do that with teams like Aqua, Tayson, and Chapix there. Like
you're saying there's not enough room to do that. They dominated in a week where there were great trios in that qualifier 3. There were some
but
of the
not
trios.
these.
No, but actually, yes, some of the trios you are saying are going to do well this week are some of the teams they dominated. Look at that. Vino's there. Where's Amplify Alien and Matsu are there?
I'm not talking about okay, dude. I'm talking about specifically
you tried to start us off with Safik at
okay,
Dirty.
Whatever.
There.
You're hyped off some stupid fucking irrelevant point. I'm talking
you're
about.
not saying anything.
So let me be specific.
Let me be
specific. I'm talking about the specific power.
Shit.
So I'm talking about the specific power vacuum that happens when Hen, Janice, and Chapix, Tayson Vino Reason, and No Vidal Aqua try to win a game.
Bro, you're giving me some arbitrary like power vacuum.
All right, let's move on then,
there's no meaning.
I apparently don't know anything and I'm not making sense.
No, but
so
it's not about you.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I've tried to explain this in 3 different ways. It's just not. It's whatever.
You don't know anything, but you're not.
It's fine, bro. It's fine. It's fine. You think Analytics will do well? I feel like it'll do well, but not as well. It's all good.
But
we will move on. We will move on. It's fine.
Bro, man, that's not my point. You're
what is the point?
What I'm trying to say. My problem with what you're saying is that like you're not giving me any. You're just saying like the power vacuum did it like that.
When we watched Aqua play in week 1 with Tayson in the business, right? When Aqua's in the lobby, things go a very different way on height and on mid ground. It's a very different game, especially with other great teams that want to hold those positions.
More specifically on height. Yes, those guys will go for height every single game.
And that trickles down on everyone. I feel like when it comes to Analytics, Squeeze, and 4ZR, they need more room to operate than there is on those layers. And that's not going to happen.
So this is all I've wanted you to say. So just say to me that you don't think that they can do it all because they won't have as many opportunities to play on high ground. I think that's fair. I think that, and that's why I'm saying.
So when I say there's a power vacuum on height and they don't have enough room, like I have 3 times before 11. But
that is completely different because my point was that when you're looking at all these teams, that's why I said in terms of power, I didn't say give me a prediction. I said give me a power ranking because when all of these teams get to do what they can do, all at their best, and Alexa's team can do it, phenomenally compared to anybody else. And that's why in a power ranking, based on what we've seen this season, yes, I think it's fair to put them, at the same level as Tayson or Hen Johnson, whoever it is. But if you're saying to me, the way Aqua's team specifically, they play high, because they're so oppressive there, they're not going to be able to get those opportunities on high. I say, fair point. But to just suggest that, no, they're like
start.
No, but you were suggesting that like no, they're like a question mark team or that it's not possible.
All right, let's move on.
No,
let's move on. This was lit. This was lit. This was lit. But let's move on because there's a shit more stuff to talk about.
Tell me,
bro, he did. You're actually like there's a little, but it was lit. Let's move on. Let's go.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else to say about EU? It's gonna be a fun time because we have other region to cover.
We do?
Yeah, and East. Shout out Benji Fishy. Let's see if he wins the FNCS. Shout out Pixie, Jaggy, and Tenzin. They're gonna be first place. And East. Let's look at the heats. Do it a bit faster than EU. Because even though I didn't watch them even less. If that even makes sense. Heat number 1. August Blake winning it out. Did we watch? I gotta figure out what we watched heat number 3 for this, right? Hold up. Or was it heat 1? Because I saw the one issue is that, bro, I always get confused semis to Reboot what's going down. Okay, we watched, I believe, heat number 2 with Bigod, Peterbot, and TK. Because I remember all these names and I know what's going down. So let's take a look at this heat first. This is one thing I wanted to mention between NA East and EU, between Reboots and the semis. For some reason, when it comes to NA East, I think this was just specific to this heat at least. There was so many more heal offs, and I feel like the way zones start in the day influence how the rest of the teams play, regardless of the last zones of the day. So, like to break down a little bit, the first three zones, and I think it was 4 out of 6 zones overall, were over Caddy Corner, were over mountains. So everything was overbuilt at a much higher elevation, like from bottom to top, everything was covered. It wasn't like EU where people had a chance to literally press and punish down and stop the game before the ninth zone ended or whatnot. It was like heel game after heel game in NA East, all the way over to like reboot ending. There were some games where it ended up in Boney Burbs and whatnot after these caddy zones, but people still played like it was caddy. It was still overbuilt as hell. Height wasn't dominating. They were still playing a little bit passive. I found that pattern pretty interesting in NA East, and it was very different from watching EU and even NA West a little bit towards the end. Everyone was just playing really passive, and it was so much more heel gamey than honestly any other heat we've watched in FNCS before. But Peterbot won it out. Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite continue to basically show that they are possibly the best individual clutchers or like impact players possibly in the region, because every time they're in trouble, Gabe did some crazy shit. Or Tahi had a big way to get the team back in the business. It was ironically not Sprite, who I think was the man clutching all the way in Reboot against Calc previous season. What else from the seat? I'm surprised that, or not surprised really, that Bully Bank Teller made it, but I feel like these guys were the first team to go out, you know, when there's 5 teams left. They're in 5th place overall, but they literally lost like every engagement to win a game, but played consistently enough to get there over and over again. The qual, Jay's win is the reason he's here, which is sick too, because it was like a dope high ground heal off, and we don't usually watch height win off of heal off. It's a lot of the times some random rat in the mid ground. I could be completely wrong about that, but that was a flavor at least in this heat of NA East. Did you get to watch 11 or no? Because I could keep rambling, but
Didn't watch semis. I watched Reboot round.
Reboot,
Didn't
yeah,
watch
yeah.
semis. Didn't watch semis. Reboot round games, but in terms of the heal off thing you're talking about, if that was also the same in semis, then definitely notice that, because like there was like still some heal offy stuff in EU, but it wasn't as like, you know, it wasn't as much like it did feel like there was more like it was more heal off focused when I was watching
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it feels like a whole different game. Like the way these guys are playing, the way EU rolls down, like it is literally, even the broadcast is more focused on looking at inventories, you know, tracking who has all the heals. And that's a mini thing of what we do in EU. But like in EU, it just, you see the tech, you see the strats breaking down, you see people with the potential to solo clutch, you know, like popping off. Like the shit that Malibuca did, if it happened on NA East, it would end with someone healing off in the storm and winning the game. Like, that's the difference between the regions.
It's like in like a reboot round, the key moment of the game is who wins, right? But like the secondary key moment is often what like you're paying attention to right before that. So in NA, the secondary key moment was more so like heal off, who has the most heals, whereas in EU, the secondary key moment was who has height at the very end, and that was more important for EU than, you know, necessarily heals. So it definitely did feel that way. That just feels like some old school just NA versus EU differences, to be fair. But no, I don't, the ending for the reboot round was really fun. It was a really fun. That was the one thing I took away from it. Like, you know, regardless of what happens in reboot round, it will always find a way to produce those crazy Twitter moments where like you are just refreshing Twitter and you want to just see what everyone's saying about like the crazy thing that happened. And obviously in this case it was like Macquid and whatnot. And it was fun. I've not followed as closely like the off-spawn bullshit that he had with P God and everything. It sort of cringed me out on Twitter. But to see that it's been resolved with all of them being in finals is good at least. At least you get to run it back in finals.
Yeah, Macwood is literally the Conor McGregor of Fortnite, I feel like now.
So is he about to be dusted, is what you're saying?
Dude, I don't know what's happening, but possibly. It feels like he had this reign before, right? Where like the prestige matched the shit talk a little bit. but I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of teetered off like it did in McGregor's career, a little bit near the middle end.
Yeah.
And the ankle might snap in these finals. I'm not sure
Oh,
because
fucking
you,
hell.
you like I want to
Fucking
see what
hell.
happens because he's still up there. Skill is there, but like it's not as prime Connor or prime Macwood, right? And the region's not that prime anymore either. Just like boxing started to have a little bit more of prevalence compared to MMA. EU's kind of taken off against NA, so we'll see what's happening there. In heat number 1, Scope wins it out. Niddle doesn't qual, which gives us that dope reboot moment. I think the biggest surprise from heat 1 is watching 13th place, a team that should have honestly dominated the entire heat. Styx, Calc, and Gandhi rolling in. Like this is also when I was talking to a few NA pros in the back room, possibly the easiest heat of all time for the people who are near the top. And one of the heats that has a lot of teams who are, I don't know how they did the seeding, but slightly unknown, slightly less experienced. I mean, this is a team where I would also assume Felix, Posed, and Sparrow in 11th could get top 6. But didn't end up happening. I think D-Roller was a thorn in someone's side. That might have been a qual week overall, but it was surprising to see teams like Niddles, like Calcs, not qualify and be that low too. I think it might have been an off-spawn issue for Calc Gandhi. At the same time, a little bit of what's it called? Just end game communication that went down. But yeah, was interesting. Heat 3 is the one I don't know much about. I was following it from the perspective of really wanting Sizz, Furious, and Nounsy to qual. They did not, but obviously the biggest takeaway from this is Bizzle Eclipse Coop. You honestly cannot like end this man, Bizzle. Give him as many L's as you want on Twitter after playing with clicks. Do whatever to break his mental. But the dude just finds a way to make finals.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Lands, but like Bizzle's the kind of guy. Like, there's a couple players in my mind where when Lands come back, they just go back to being like their most elite players, and I can see that being Bizzle as well.
Yeah. Not too many super surprising things towards the bottom. I think this was one of those heats where.
By the way, do you have that? Or am I just weird for having that? There are a couple players where like I just always think to myself like, when Lands come back, this guy's gonna smoke everyone.
I have the opposite actually. For me, it's like I watch certain players and I'm like, if Lands come through, these guys will suck. Like,
Say one.
huh?
Say one.
Say one.
Oh man, say one.
Name the region.
EU.
EU.
Yeah.
I feel like Queasy Jerky Trulix choke at LAN.
Yeah, probably.
As they are, I feel like
yeah.
What's it called?
I don't know. I feel like they choke this season. Personally, I don't see them doing that good this season. Maybe I'm just sleeping on them now.
I feel like Vino does bad at LAN as well, but
yeah, Vino definitely does. Vino, he's had some confidence issues anyway online, so I could see that. I can see that. Fair enough.
But maybe absolutely suck is like a little bit too reactive. Anyways,
nah, man, we've seen great players. Remember Unknown when he went to Anaheim? Like, didn't he like just to
I feel like Unknown, something got nerfed in between him going.
Yeah,
Anaheim and not.
It did. It was like the whole stuff, but still, I remember people expect him to do well. Like his popping, he had so many views. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, Unknown online."
But maybe a patch behind, but what could have been, bro? The best controller player of all time. Debatable, but let's look at.
Yo, we need a rise and fall and rise again of Unknown Army, bro. We need one of those videos on him.
The Story Sports, bro. I think I've seen like 18 of those.
I think like Resub did one as well.
Oh, really?
Like the rise and fall of Unknown. Like,
oh yeah, he did. He did. I remember that.
That's still my favorite VOD review of all time is watching Balla watch Unknown. And that was back when like Loot Lake was the thing. And this man was just beaming kids.
No, it
wasn't. Leaving.
It was not Loot Lake. It
wasn't
literally
Loot Lake?
Misty Meadows Lake. Yes.
Okay, my bad. It was a lake of sorts. But that was funny as fuck. Okay, looking at Reboot real quick. I actually did end up watching this, but I don't recognize. Okay, yeah, the most interesting thing about Reboot was like everything up to the win, and heel off is like one of the reasons for that. But I found myself engaged in like how fifth zone was all the way to eighth, and then I just found myself like getting tired watching ninth zone roll out because no one was doing shit like at all. I feel like in NA East, no one was actively trying to super win the game. It was a bunch of like fractured trios in like mid and low, and then height just booling. Like, might have been the way games were observed overall. I'm not sure, but uh, yeah. Regardless, a bunch of heel off winners. Um, I think Brutal Berserk and Glepo might have been the only team that got
Yeah,
it
they went
through
crazy.
elims. Yeah,
Yeah.
but everyone else was just eating their cabbages. You know how it goes.
I don't know. I sort of saw the day going like that. Just when I saw like the clip of Asia heel off.
Yeah,
Did you saw the Asia heel
Asia's
off, right?
heel off was nuts.
For the people who didn't see the Asia heel off, it was like just like a 3-minute heel off or something stupid. I don't know. Like, it was like the guy just had like 60 cabbages. Another guy just had like loads as well. It was silly.
Yeah. Yeah, and the East was man, for me, I'm not sure what the future of this region is going to look like next year, but I just don't sense like maybe it's because I'm like tied in with EU so much. The brand value is just not there for a lot of players anymore. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, man, 100%. I spoke to, I can't remember, I won't say who it was, but I spoke to someone, and they said the same thing where they were just like, yeah, it just feels like NA. I was looking at it and I sort of just felt like yuck almost, where it's like who are a lot of these people.
Yeah,
And we spoke about this last season where like, is that almost unfair? Because if we're saying like who are these people every season, maybe we should be doing a better job of like knowing who these people are. But like the yeah, you're right. Like the brand value and all that is sort of not as there. And even in EU, we have that problem where in EU, because what happens is the people who still have like relatively big brands who remember for what they did greatly in past seasons, um, just aren't as good as some of these other people who are eclipsing them. So it's like, for example, in EU, right? Like you see Steelix and for example, and you think, yo, Steelix should be in FNTASIA fans. I could see that. Whereas like when you look at like actual performances, results, all these kind of things recently, it's like actually not Steelix isn't actually at the level where he once was, for example. Um, and like but NA has that problem like in abundance where like in NA you still got a bunch of the names who are like quite good, but then it's like actually all good names, sorry, but then they're just not as good and they're just being eclipsed by people who are unknowns, and it creates this really weird feeling where you can almost lose excitement. But
yeah,
I feel like either way, finals always will just be dominated by those really nice big name teams who make it exciting. Unfortunately, those guys are so much better than everybody else that there's not even a chance that like some of the unknown teams even like come into the equation, make things boring or something. It's like just those guys will just dominate the day anyway. We'll still leave this weekend talking about Sentinel and Commandment. Like it'll just happen.
that's all the more fact of like I just wish we got to watch all the teams play each other a lot. It like one big thing that sucks before we get to like the grand final drops map of NA East is that we get 12 games, which at the same time still honestly just feels like one tournament of 6 overall. Like looking back at it, like we get one instance essentially of all these teams playing each other, um, repeated 4 times a year. I
Yep.
just wish there was more of an opportunity, with 12 months in the year, 52 weekends, utilize 4 of them to watch all these teams break down. Um, like in the main mode. Um, I just wish we had a little bit more opportunity to do that. Watch them play regularly against each other. Maybe I'm just like ruined by franchising other games or like the frequency of tournaments being higher. But
Our perception is skewed because in the other scenes we follow, we get these high level games all the time. And at the end of the day, like as a fan, that's almost what you want. Like I want to see Tayson, Vidil, Andalex, Hen, blah, blah. I want to see all of them playing in the lobby like a lot. you know,
Yeah.
so that we really get an idea of like what the fuck's going on. Because at the end of the day, you're so right. It's like you get the one weekend, see you next season. And in the case, and in some instances, by that next season, some of those teams that we were so invested in have just fallen off, like Thomas Nelson Flick. Like I was
Or they
interested, I
switch
was
to Flick.
so interested, like, you know, with Thomas Nelson Flick to see like bloody hell, second, third, fourth, next season. Come on, guys, you really got this. But it's like, no, we just you don't get to see that. Like you miss out on it just because it's like you know, it's just so irregular, and then you can just get teams who fall off by the end of it, unfortunately.
Yeah. We'll see how it works though. Do we have the NA East drop map? Because if so, it'd be cool to see this one a lot more colorful and toony.
Who made this one?
I would assume Maxime, unless I'm tripping.
I don't think. Actually, maybe it was Maxime. Where it was.
I did. Oh no, IDK. Never mind.
Pega producer.
All right. Let's check it out. Still. Oh, Reddit. Okay. Sick. Reddit made this.
Shouts out to Reddit.
Let's go. You're talking about Sent the Commandment edgy. Actually, the first thing to bring up is this region also one of those where it's like, yo, all the good teams have their space. There's not issues around the map. So I'm looking.
I'm looking at a very small screen, so I'm gonna have to get real close and give me a second.
Can you link this in the chat, Balla, if possible?
Yeah, look at this Papega producer, man.
It's not Papega, bro. It's not Papega. Just a request.
He doesn't even give
the people can see it. It's just
doesn't even give the podcast the actual
come on, bro.
Actual info, man.
It has a legend. This is sick. Okay, so red names mean, and we can zoom out a bit because I feel like the HD is going to be the same for everyone. Red names mean that people are contested at a POI. Purple means you're contested, but there's a little bit of split going on.
The fact that he knows this, or the fact that they know this, is so crazy to me. Isn't that not okay, by the way? The fact that we know contested, but they're splitting it. Wait, isn't that actually against the, like, I don't want to be that guy, but isn't that actually against the rule? How do you know that they're contested and they're splitting it?
Listen, this is all alleged Dropspot map for NA East.
Fucking hell, man.
And blue is they've just split the entire POI the whole way through. So now looking at things, Sent the Commandment edgy. So the way they have Misty broken down, just to harp on this topic, if Andalex had it the way they do Levin, I think it'd be sick. I would agree with you in the fact that they have the power to be.
Oh God, here we go again. Oh God,
I'm not buying the bait.
I'm just saying. The fact that they get to move wherever they want, to whatever they want to do to anyone around them. We watched them push Caddy a bit. Good luck Zleb Narwhal if they get a little bit inty towards Flush Factory, because we saw that last season. They almost threw a game because of it. Or they did, I'm not sure. Yeah, on this map, it's Levin, I think you have the best drop swap map questions, man. I'm just trying to grab a rabbit out of a hat. Like,
that's so good. I can't get over the purple. I'm just like looking at the purple stuff, and it's just triggering me the hell out, man. I don't know. I need to find out like what's going on with that. Like, why? That like, isn't that like actually like, because we all know the splits, but like when it's like declared, I don't know, man. That's it. It's a bit
declared by the fans. It sucks that Blake and Scoped and Voil, except in Snake, Ocus there too, are contested. But now that I'm saying that, I realize that it's purple, so I guess they're not contested.
Well, that's the thing, because like you look at the EU map, and there's a lot more. Like this actually looks like most people are fine. There's 3 teams that are basically screwed for the day, and the rest, everybody else should be fine. Like if your split is so agreed or whatever, like if you have a combat split, but you guys clearly know what you're splitting, you should be fine. Some of them, like, don't get me wrong, like some of the people who are purple who there's a split, they're not gonna be fine, because like in grand finals, realistically, like splitting Holly Hatchery in grand finals, like you're not gonna do well from that, right? Like somebody has to die
I
realistically.
think Holly, Coral, and Weather
Catty,
Station.
Catty,
Yeah.
yeah, like you can't, you're
That's
not
all gonna be
splitting
issues.
Catty. Yeah, like
Yeah.
those have to be fights to me. Like those teams will have to fight. But in terms of like going back to almost like taking the same question of like have people just started to submit? It sort of looks like that. In terms of like when you look at this region, you'd say Saf's trio, Center's trio, Dave's trio, Tahi, Gabe, Sprite, Jack, Acorn, Slacks, right? Would those be the ones where you say like they're like the main power trio? Maybe not Guy, maybe not Gabe, Tahi, and Sprite, but like the others.
Yeah, Jack
say
and
as the
Slack,
main-
Scented, Saf, I feel like are in contention for top 3. I feel like will they, won't they? Damiro reverse as well, but I'm not sure what the dynamics of that trio is this season. I know they're going into grands, but dude, Reverse's mental has been all over the place the past couple weeks, and he was dropped by that trio plus ratio and then got back together again. So like, you know, that's like that's the whole like. I'm not sure how things look for them too, because I think he was talking about like, you know, finals on stream, like, is it even worth playing or winning if your teammates don't trust you, whatever.
What if
Dude,
Reverse
honestly,
just...
I want Certified Lover Boy, Drake's album tomorrow, to have a
Yeah.
reverse feature. I feel like he's earned it.
Yeah,
I feel like he's been through enough that there could be a reverse feature on the album.
Hurting deeply inside.
Scented, Misty.
Wait, I thought you were gonna keep it
Plan
going, bro. Like,
dropped on me.
honestly though, what if Reverse, like, this would be the best shit versus fuck it, nah, not doing it. Don't need the money. You guys have treated me poorly. Not doing it.
Nah. I think you're so much of a competitor for nah. You just want explosions,
okay,
bro. You just
okay,
want...
okay, what if
here's
he
the most...
just
Oh
froze?
no, go ahead for reverse. Yeah.
What if he just starts making bad calls?
I don't think it's in his blood. I don't think it's in his nature, bro. To be
I
that
wanna
consistent.
Happen, man. I just want some shit. I want to see the shits, you know, like I want to see something really pop off.
I think what sucks for Reverse 2K and that trio in general is that whenever they do well, like people just stare on. And the moment they trip up, like everyone's gonna be on their asses. But the major, I think the red lettering is the best to look at here for like the major stories to watch to start the day off. Like this Mac with P God beef should be cool to see, akin to like Hen versus High Chris, like a few seasons ago. But it's not like, you know, the best versus someone who's challenging them, or someone who doesn't have the right to challenge them because, like, you know, if they're on the spot or whatever. It's literally a region of the world versus another. Like it's a little bit of, you know, old prestigious Fortnite as well versus like a few up and comers coming through. Although I feel like it's a little bit of a backseat. I'm reaching on that one. The other more interesting one for me is Creo versus Pamsto at Retail Row, where I feel like in this POI drop, this is gonna be like the passing of torches, or you know what I mean? Like this is Pamsto Carry and Fatch's ultimate test into, you know, we've talked about it a little bit in the past 2 weeks of FNTASIA, and just looking at this trio in general. It's kind of been on the rise where, like, yeah, they would need like a, you know, they would need like a win or something big to kind of define them in a certain space. If they can beat Creo, Clicks, Bucky off spawn, if they can finally take down people they've been playing with since day one, and then do relatively well too, I feel that's a huge dub for them personally. And for Creo, Clicks, and Bucky, losing here would be really bad in general, because I feel like confidence and a few questions overall, you know, are these guys washed? What's going down? Like both these teams are on opposite ends of like this ladder, meeting in the middle to see who's going up and down. Like either in power rankings or like in narrative overall. So like how the day goes in Retail Row, we'll see which trio is worth more at the shop at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like on retail. Aha. It'll be cool to watch. That's some of my favorite off drop.
You are a
Right.
criminal. You are a war
I need to
criminal.
be put away.
You need to be locked up for a long time. Didn't you tell me? Didn't you tell me that trio fighting off spawn is not great?
At Misty, from what I saw, yes, it's very submissive and breedable. You know what I'm saying? But these guys
Breedable.
don't have any chance of staying up in that POI from what I saw, but I haven't seen them fight at retail. I've never
That
seen Pam
was
Still Carry fight at
that
retail.
was an inside joke.
What, submissive and
This-
beatable?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
You
public.
call
That's
you call someone that, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I know who you I know who you call.
No,
that.
I don't call anyone. Whoa. That's just it's a public meme, bro. That is a meme nowadays. That's a meme. That's a meme.
No, because we have a mutual friend, and I thought you call him that. We'll talk about this.
Levin,
We'll
you're
talk
fucking
about it.
readable. Shut the hell up.
Creo says so many people's seasons are going to
This
be
guy's a dad
and
now.
have been wasted just because there's not enough spots on the map and people have to 50-50 drops and 50% chest spawn. If you're going to add more POIs to the map, make it 100% chest. If you're not going to add more POIs to the map, make it 100% chest spawn at FN competitive. 100% chest spawn has been brainwashed out of us, Levin. I think we promised on episode 2 or 3 to mention it every episode until it came back.
Yeah, bring back 100% chest spawn. What?
Yeah, we're over it because I think we know it's never gonna happen. And Creo,
Oh, you can't say that, bro.
obviously,
People, when you say that shit, bro, like someone on Reddit's gonna clip it as like epic employee
I'm
Shyo
not
wager
concerned about the
says
Redditors, man.
100% chest spawn will never return.
And then
Look,
this is where
guys.
the Malibuca attitude comes from as well, right?
Oh, come on, Balla, you got to tap in for this, right? I'm sure you'd love to right now.
Yeah, I would love to, but she's getting upset, so I can't.
Oh, unlucky. Back to producing. Anyway, so Malibuca said. Oh God.
Malibuca
Wow.
said, if you want to place good in FNCS and you're an upcoming player, you need to waste 2 to 3 FNCSs of yours.
Yo,
in the
Levin, she's getting
finals.
upset because you guys are waffling like fucking crazy. Like, wrap this shit up. Let's get some good points. Let's get some facts being spoken, and then she'll be happy.
On fighting for your landing spot, and only then can you place top 10 or better.
You know what? Yeah, he makes a cracking point. The problem with his point is that doesn't even work anyway. So it's sort of it's almost not a cracking point.
Then it
Because you
works
can
for
do that.
Sprite.
Okay, well, sorry, I'm thinking from the EU lens because I don't think this works in the EU, but maybe it does work in NA. Because I think in the EU, the problem is, yeah, in the EU now is I think as long as one of the elite teams lands at that POI, you just can't touch it.
But then
So, like-
Analyx get knocked off of Caddy based on this.
But that's the
Theory?
problem with Anderlecht though, right? Where Anderlecht got exposed for not being a good fighter. All those other elite, like that's one of Anderlecht's, like when he played with Exquise and Stacey, that was one of their big weaknesses in comparison to all of the other elite teams. Where like Osborne, they just weren't as good at it. And like Kai is awkward Osborne anyway, but like we saw last season with Hen, Janis, and Chapix, even Cond, like brilliant. And you'd expect similar stuff from other elite trios of that level. Like you'd probably expect, you know, Noah Riley, Vidil, Aqua to dominate a team of Spawn. Tayson, from of all the top teams that land Sweaty or Believers Beach in EU, Tayson is the best team when it comes to fighting there. From like scrims and just other tournaments, just any random tournament, like most of the time they're the team that will come out on top there. Still not certain, but they're quite strong, so people will leave them. I just feel like when one of those elite teams comes knocking, even if you've spent your whole, like we saw with Verox, Mexi, and Michael, like Verox committed his whole Fortnite career to Dirty, and he just got knocked off it.
Yeah. True then. I just feel like he's in a trance then going for, you know, there's certain like Hen, like Tayson, there's certain exceptions to where even if this was true, you just don't challenge it. I feel like Savage is one of those. But then Steamy is also POI where like, because of how, you know, accurate you need to be on drop, some POIs you can kind of get away with it and save yourself. You can have a chance of tripping up a better trio. I don't know though. We'll see what happens. This is obviously just looking at his narrative against Savage, and just in general over here. I don't think anyone is in NA East at least or EU operating with this mindset. Just people qual, and you end up contested in the spot that you might, be hot at and have the best chance at rolling well with, or even your secondary spot is contested, so you have to choose.
I'm really sad. I actually want to hear Balla's take. I don't know if you guys spoke about it before when I wasn't here, but I know the baby's babying.
It's bullshit in the first place, just because like literally there's so many examples of people coming into an FNCS for their first time, or coming to a new drop spot and placing top 10. Like, it's just dumb. Queasy True Lux Jerky, like that split was, like there's so many examples that it's not even true. So yeah. And he's challenging a team, like, it's not even Savage, by the way, it's Refsguard and Andretta. They've been going steamy for seasons and seasons and seasons. So yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense, and it's a really bad mindset, and honestly questionable in terms of like he's literally saying he needs to waste his FNCS. That to me is legitimately saying he's not going to play to the best of his ability to win. I mean,
yeah.
Unfortunately, that rule has never been enforced in the history of Fortnite yet. It is part of the rules, but has never ever really been a thing. Maybe the Storm Surge trading could be I don't even know. Anyways, I honestly argue that trading Storm Surge is playing to the best of your ability, but that's a fucking hot and risky
oh
take.
no, you did not just say that. Oh my god. Please end the show. I don't even want to talk.
That is it in terms
in
of
a world. There's a world and the alternate reality where Balla TW is always a producer, and I think I want to live in that world.
I like the old world. Old world's kind of nice.
Yeah, when World Cup 2022 comes around and you're there, I'm gonna slap you in the face, bro. Like,
guys, this is a recording of him admitting to the crime he's going to commit. So thank you. Let's get this up on YouTube for the whole world to see. My life is being threatened by this grown ass man with a whole wife, kid, and home. Wow.
As they say with threats, save them for the next episode, because you never know what happens in between. Make sure you guys stay active in the comments. Let me know who would win in a fight, Balla or Leven. Balla has one hand tied behind his back because Leven needs the handicap. Past that, if you're listening to this on YouTube, like the video, sub if you haven't already. If you're listening on Spotify, follow the playlist or whatever the system is over there. If you're anywhere else, hit buttons that you haven't hit yet. Just experiment. Have a good time with your life. Take risks. Stop being so scared of things. Nothing can hurt you. You're invincible. I have no liability in what happens from now on to the next episode in your life after these messages. Enjoy your day. Goodbye. Peace.